Oh hi, right, how are we all doing? I hope we're all well. So, a couple of things I wanted to have a talk to you about. I thought it was quicker to put a little video together. We've had some new motors in. I think we've got, is it 4 or 5 that we got, Alice? 5 brand new motors that have come in. To the naked eye you won't notice any difference to them, but there's quite a few little features which are new to these motors, and I think it was quite important for you to know about them. So we thought put a little video together and we can run through quite quickly with you. So I've just brought one in. This is the big battery operated motor. So there's the big battery operated, smaller battery operated, there's the little mains operated that works with all the Louver-like cassettes and all the Louver-like fascias, and there's the big powerful 230 volt motor which works with all the Bentine stuff. So those are the 4 main ones, plus we've got a pleated blind motor as well. And all of these motors are called bidirectional. Now bidirectional is not going to mean a huge amount at the moment. We'll cover that a little bit later on with the app. But looking at this as a battery operated, there's 2 little features of this which I think are quite important. I don't think, can you see that very well? Not really.
In the back a little bit.
How's that? Just about. There's a tiny little black button here and it's an on-off switch. Now sometime we're going to have the plates modified that sit on the end so that you can get to that button, but you can turn the motors off when they're in transit, so if they're not going to start operating in the back of your van. Also, if you're setting up multiple motors and you want some of them not to be disturbed, you can turn motors off now, so that's quite a useful feature. What I think is even more useful is this feature here, which is your charging port. This is micro USB charging. So it'll come as usual with a charger and a cable, but hey, you guys know what customers are like. They keep telling us that they've lost their charger or that we didn't leave them one. They will be given a 3 meter micro USB plus a charging plug. And then that can also is the same one that charges your phone, and that's probably, I think that's the same. Is that Samsung? I think Samsung use that one, so it's a standard Samsung cable sort of thing as well. So you can use, chances of customers being able to find something to charge is an awful lot better. It means that we don't have to have dedicated chargers. Whilst I'm talking about this, important point, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the bridge later on. There are 2 charging plugs that we have. It would be simpler, I know, to have 1 plug, but this particular one costs considerably more than this one does. Can you see 2 amp on that? Just about? Just about on the box. Where it says 2 amp, those are the powerful plugs, and they're the ones that you really want to be putting with the charging the motor. This one is only a 1 amp one. It will charge the motor, but it will take an awful lot longer. But you notice it hasn't got 2 amp written on. That's the one for the bridge. So if you've got these 2 in your box because you've got a blind and you've got a bridge, use the one without 2 amps for the bridge and the other one as the charger. Okay, so what are we going on from there? So those are the 2 features on that. What else have we got to tell them about, Alice?
Basically just showing them how it
works. I suppose it's important to be able to work out which motor you've got. Now you could start pulling the motor out of the tube and it's a slightly different code. The easiest way is really having a look at the handsets. So if we look at this handset and this handset, they are very, very similar to the very similar to the ones that we had before. I think I've got one over there. Can I have that? Where are we? There we go. So that's one of the original handsets that you're all used to, and they've got the silver edge down the side. The new ones don't have the silver edge, they have the white ones. Downside, you can't mix and match. So the silver edged ones will only work the old blinds. The white edged ones will only work the new blinds. It is a bit of a pain, but we had to draw a line in the sand at some point to move on to this bidirectional technology. So it is a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. The good news is the bridge, which we'll talk about later on, that does work for the old blinds and the new blinds. So that's good news. So handsets, very, very similar, as I said, to what you've got. We've got a single wall switch as well. These are all in stock. Tiny little feature that I do want to point out on this. Again, you'll see it when you've got when you've got one in your hand. There's a little screw hole there. That's because I understand they're getting a little bit concerned around the world with children swallowing those little batteries. So once you put the back cover on, you can just put, there's a screw, comes with it, it's in the box, just put a little screw in there. Okay, so that's the way that you really tell the difference between the two. We will have a little look, I'll show you this while we've got this shot going, which is what we call the bridge. And the bridge is in effect the new app. So there's an app that comes with this, which we'll show you later on. It just plugs in again using the USB cable that's in there, and remember the not so powerful charger. And it doesn't have to plug into the into the router anymore. I know some of them that we've used in the past, you have to plug it into the router. This you can put anywhere you want, obviously within range of the blinds. So that's the kind of the new kit that's in at the moment. We've got the large battery again for the bigger battery blinds. We've got a smaller battery which is not quite as long, so that's quite a good motor. They all program the same. We've got the what we call the TE motor, which is the 230 volt, but the small one for the louver light, and then we've got the big fat motor as well for the big Bentine blinds, and we've got the pleated as well. So once you've learned how to program one, then you can program the rest. So I think we'll change over and have a little look at one of the blinds running now. So, new motor, new programming. I am sorry, we would have preferred it to have programmed the same as the old one, but actually I think this is probably a little easier, but it'll just take a little bit of getting used to. You won't be able to see, but there's a little button. You'll find it easier enough when you've got the motor in your hand. Little button up there, give it a press. And select the channel that you want. I'm going on channel 1 and press and hold the stop. That's done. Now, as usual, you'll probably wind up with this pre-program from the factory, but I think it's important for you to know from the beginning. You can see here we're in the wrong direction. Press and hold up and down together. And that's the direction changed. Now you see we're in kind of a dot mode here. That's because we haven't put any limits in yet. So if we go up to the top, press stop, you've got that kind of fine tune. Now for the up limit, it's stop and up together. We're now going to run the blind down. Too much. Got that fine adjust again. Not enough. Got that fine adjust. Just bring it down to where you want it. And then it's stop and down together. And that blind is now, that's your up and down limits set. That is probably the way you're going to get it from the factory. Factory are probably going to set all those limits for you, but as you know, sometimes we do need to fine adjust. If you want to adjust the upper limit from anywhere, doesn't matter where you are with the blind, unlike the old blinds where you had to make sure that you got it to the upper limit before you could adjust it, this one, stop the blind. If you're adjusting upper limit, press stop and up together. Move it to where you want. Press up and stop again. And that's now your limit adjusted. So it is good, for instance, if you were worried that you'd lost the limit around the top of the blind, or it was going and crashing onto the floor and the floor was a bit dirty. We're doing one of these sort of new builds where the builders are running behind. It means that you don't have to get to the limit anymore. Press stop and up for adjusting the upper limit, stop and down for adjusting the lower limit. So you see here, I won't labour it, but stop and down and that'll change it. Another feature that I'd like to have a quick conversation with you about, and a lot of you know that we've got speed regulation on the battery motors. This is only on battery motors, it isn't on anything that plugs into the mains. Just be a little bit careful, because obviously if you offer one of the benefits of the battery motor but you've got a mains motor in a different part of the house, then you won't be able to mirror them over. But as many of you know, we have got a speed regulator on these motors. So this blind runs at quite a decent speed. If you press the program button on the back, P2, which you're used to, and we go down, P2 again, and again, so it's slowing them down, and I don't know why you'd really want it to do that, but it's an option. They claim it's quieter, but I don't think it actually is. However, going into that speed regulation menu with your P2 up, that puts it back up to the full speed. If you were running it at this full speed, and then we asked it to, and again, hear the long beep? Now what we've done is we've turned on a new function which we haven't had before. And that's slow stop. It doesn't really do anything. It isn't. Some people say it puts less stress on the gearbox. Some people say that it doesn't put a shock on the motor of a stop. I don't believe any of that. I just think it looks really cool. I think it looks so nice as the blind travels down.
Sounds cool.
I think it does, yeah. I think that is lovely. Only available on battery. I know I keep telling you that, but it's only available on battery. You can turn it off, and what you've got to do to turn it off is you've got to go right the way down to the lowest speed and then ask it to go slower, and then build it back up again. To get it to switch on, you get it to the highest speed, so that's P2 and up for higher speed, P2 and down for lower speed, P2 up right the way to the top, one more time, and then that turns it on. If we wanted to turn it off, it's P2, down, okay, P2 again, down and down, okay, and then finally P2, down, and that now should be no slow stop on it. So it's a bit laborious, but you can turn it off if you switched it on accidentally. But we're going to speed that back up, get us back up to full speed. Okay, medium speed. High speed again, but as you see, look at the bottom. Standard stop, one you'd be using if you were mixing with two 30-volt motors. And again, P2, up, and up again. And that now puts us back into our nice slow stop. Considering it's a feature they don't really market, I think it makes it look like a really classy motor, that. Okay, one more thing while I've got the P2 button exposed on the back here. If you want to add another channel, so at the moment I'm sitting on channel 1, P2, P2, choose the channel you want, P2. Super easy, exactly the same as it was before. And we've still got our slow stop in there. Okay, good news. So, coming back to bidirectional motors, you're not going to notice a huge amount of difference if you aren't using the app. Bidirectional means that they talk both ways, so we send a command to the motor and it'll do something, but then the motor gives information back and it comes back to the app, which comes back to your bridge. So if you've sold a bridge with the blinds, you will ask somebody to download this connector app. Now, I've already set this up and I'm not going to bother telling you how to set it up, because a lot of the time with the connector app, it's very, very straightforward. You just follow it as it goes along. You can do lots of things with this. You can set up as many rooms as you want, and you can see on the app here that we have got photographs of our rooms here. You can go into that room and there are devices that you can look at here. Same with the showroom. Now you can add, I think it's something like 30 you can get into this, so it's a pretty powerful app. I'm just going to open this one here because I think this is quite important. I'm going to delete this because, as you know from earlier, we were talking about having a we were showing you how to reprogram it, so I've already reprogrammed that blind, so I've wiped it off the app here. So we're going to go into meeting room and we are going to add, and you see you can add bridges, but we're going to add a radio motor, and it's going to be a roller blind. Showroom is the name of my hub, so when I set my hub or my bridge up in the first place I called it showroom because it's in the Kings Norton showroom. And we are going to set up by using remote controls, this bottom left hand button here, and press by remote. Now this is pretty important. There are two different types of motors. As you know, there are the ones with the silver sided remote control and there are the ones with the white sided remote control, and they program in slightly different ways. If you have the white sided remote control, you just press the P2 button twice like it's asking you to do here on the back of your remote control and then tap next. So that's what we're going to do. I'm taking my standard white remote control that I had, I'm pressing P2 and P2 and then I'm pressing next. Don't know whether you can hear that in the background, but the motors are beeping at me. I'm going to call it whatever I want, roller blind, demo, and I'm clicking done in the top corner. Picture, I can use pictures if I want from here, or if you tap up in the top right hand corner you can take a picture yourself. I'm just going to pop a picture of that one there, I think will do, and it's in the meeting room and it's done, and that is the blind all set up and ready to go. Easy peasy. Okay, now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to add another blind, and it's a roller blind and it's in the showroom, and I'm going to do it by remote control. But what I want you to look at here is if you've got a silver sided remote control, so it's the old style blinds, can you see the switching button in the top right hand corner? If we press that, I haven't got one of those blinds here so I can't demonstrate it to you completely, but what you do is you press next and then you press the stop button on the blind that you want to program for 3 seconds and it adds it that way. So white sided, P2, P2, silver sided, go to the switch button, you can toggle between the two, toggle it, press and hold press next first and then press and hold the stop button for 3 seconds on the remote control that you want to add, and it sorts it all out for you. Really, really easy. Now once we've got our blind and we're programmed, so we're going back into the meeting room and this demo blind, you can see here we've got a slider. So instead of, if I just switch to showroom and show you one of my roller blinds, up, down and stop, on this one we have a slider, and you'll probably hear it in the background, but I can set that to 50%. And the blind will run to 50%. So as you can see here, 100%, 100% closed. %, wherever you want it to go. Really, really useful function to a degree. I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think the percentages that we're talking about here are, it doesn't need to be that accurate. But what it is doing, it does mean that you can set a blind to say, oh I don't know, 65-70%. Say you've got a sunny elevation, you can ask the blind to go to 70%, and I'll show you why that's important later on. The other thing to note here, I've currently got the remote control for the blind in my hand, and I'm sending that blind up. I haven't touched the app here at all, but I'm just going to stop the blind now, and you see the blind then reports back to the app where it is. Now, what use is that? I don't know really. I guess you could possibly say that maybe you could check your son's bedroom blind to see whether it opened it in the morning, or maybe try and find out whether your daughter's watching TV in the TV room because the blind's down to 100% when she should be doing her homework. I don't know. I think it's more of a thing for garage doors than and security gates than anything else. But the big benefit of this particular app is if you can look to the left of roller blind demo, see that battery? It's actually reporting the battery, state of charge of the battery in that blind, so you know from your app when the blind's going to need recharging, so you can tell very easily whether the blind's going flat or not. So really useful, nice interface that. We're just going to go back a little bit, we're going to go to scenes. Now a scene, we can call it whatever we want, so I'm going to call this sunny afternoon. And I'm going to pretend that our blind is on the back elevation of a south-facing house, and I am going to want our roller blind to come down to 75%, 3/4 of the way down, when it's a sunny day. So we now have a scene called sunny afternoon. And I'm going to tap that and ask it to start, and I can tell you now in the background my blind's going down to 75%. You could maybe add 4, 5, 6 blinds there, all of which you can set what level you want them to go to, and every time you press that scene and ask it to run, it will set those blinds to the same position. So it could be that you've got movie night, which closes all of the blinds in the TV room, or it could be good night, which makes sure that every blind and curtain is closed in the building, or good morning, which opens all of the blinds and the curtains in the building. You can add a timer. So you see I've gone across at the top, and you can either add a device timer, which would tell one blind what to do. So we're going to tell this blind that we want it to open at, what should we say? Should we go for maybe 8 o'clock? Let's go for 8 o'clock. We want that to happen every day apart from Sunday and Saturday, because we want to lie in on a Sunday and Saturday, and you want that blind to go all the way open at that time. That's done. And that's saved. We then add another timer for that blind, which tells it to close at sunset. So here we can say a little bit before sunset, a little bit after sunset, and I want that to happen every day. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my slider across at the top to 100% and click done, and now that blind will close at sunset and open at 8 AM in the morning. Work days, sunset, it'll close every day. Now you could go around and do that for all of your blinds, but if you wanted all of the blinds to do the same thing, take our sunny afternoon, we could set a scene timer instead. So our sunny afternoon, we know that it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon that the sun hits that south elevation. And we have now got a scene set that every 2 o'clock every day, sunny afternoon. Remember our scene over here called sunny afternoon, and it is going to send that blind down to 75% every 2 o'clock. Now I'm really pleased with this app. I think it's a great piece of kit. I think it's very easy, it's very responsive, it works very nicely. But that is why we've changed to bidirectional motors, because you can't do half the stuff that you can do with the standard original motors that you can do with the bidirectionals that you can on this. So I think this really, for me, I've always been a little bit dubious about apps from other people other than Somfy, as you know, but then you've then got to pay the Somfy tax to use the Somfy motors and the Somfy apps. I've got the Somfy to home or at home. I think this is an awful lot better. I think it's a lot more straightforward to use, and I think it's an awful lot more responsive. So really, really pleased with this, and I think that we should be selling an awful lot more of these hubs going forward. So quite a lengthy video, I am sorry, but there's quite a lot of functionality that's come along with these, and I think it's really important that you know all about it. Main benefits, going back through, easy charging, great app with them now, all of the new motors programming themselves, on-off button. There's loads of things which I think are really, really good with these motors. Lots of feedback, please, as ever. Always happy to hear your feedback, because it is new to us as well. Anything that you find that works, that doesn't work, please just give us a shout. But I think it's quite, once you get used to the reprogramming, it will be quite straightforward. The other thing that I will do is I'll split some videos down and just do a tiny little 30-second on how to change the limits, 30 seconds on how to add a controller, that sort of thing for you, so you don't have to listen to me droning on for 20 minutes or whatever this video's been. Well, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully this will be the first of many as we go into this new year, and yeah, look forward to your feedback. Thanks guys.